evening and you're watching The Big Story with me, Avni Raja. Two big hospitals, two cases of negligence that led to loss of 2 lives. Have hospitals in our country are operating only to make money? Is there absolutely no value for our lives? That's a story that we are going to be tracking today. Our phone lines are open. Call us, share your views. Let's start, but with the headlines. Haryana government finds Fortis Hospital in Gurugram guilty of not following protocol in baby Adya case. The hospital booked on negligence. Killer negligence from Max Hospital. The second newborn who was found to be alive now passes away at a hospital in Pritampura. Meanwhile, Max Hospital found guilty of violating norms. A 3-year-old boy loses his life after the ambulance he was being shifted in runs out of oxygen. Instead of helping, the driver abandons the vehicle. Delhi government files its action plan with the National Green Tribunal to tackle pollution. This when the pollution level reaches severe. Odd even scheme to be implemented according to court directives. NGT raps the state of Punjab for failing to give directions to authorize steps to control air pollution. Plea to be heard tomorrow again. A 23-year-old woman child locked in a cab in Bengaluru, molested and threatened by the driver, accused suspended by the service provider. Two big and reputed hospitals, 2 cases of medical negligence. One hand, it is Gurugram's Fortis Hospital, and on the other hand, it is Delhi's Max Hospital. Now, Haryana's Health Minister Anil Vij has squarely blamed Fortis Hospital for the death of 7-year-old Adya, while indicating it for grave negligence, lapse, unethical and unlawful act, along with overcharging for medicines and other consumables. Revealing the findings of the probe panel, Anil Vij said that the state government will get a criminal case registered against the hospital on charges of causing death by negligence.
The report of Fortis overcharging is out and we have the health minister with us. Sir, first of all, there are several lapses. What are the major lapses you have revealed in your report, sir?
Major lapses that they have not followed the LAMA protocol, leave against medical advice. The patient was on ventilator for the last 14 days. But when the parents demanded that we want to take her to another hospital, they were not provided the advanced life support system ambulance. They were provided an ordinary ambulance. The ventilator was withdrawn. No oxygen cylinder was given. No ambu bag was given, which caused her sudden death.
So you are a very powerful minister. 108% profit margin of Fortis Hospital, 2,000 rupees for platelets and several irregularities. What is the action you are going to take, sir?
We have already initiated action against the hospital. We have given a notice to cancel the blood bank because they have charged heavy charges on the platelets and the transfusion of the blood.
So the signatures were forged and you are saying that you will register an FIR also. Don't you think it's forgery and negligence both?
Yes, in FIR we will also take up this point because the parents have said that on the consent letter our signature were forged.
And what about the land lease? They are not following the norms. Are you planning to cancel it?
Committee has also observed that they are not following the conditions of the MOU signed between the Haryana government and the Fortis Hospital for providing 20% bed at cheaper rates to the EWS. And for that we are going to write to the committee. There is a permanent committee to look into these matters in the Huda department. We are writing to them and I will say them that they should take action. If need be, their release should be cancelled.
So you used a very strong word. This is not death, it is murder. Now, you being a minister, don't you think that this is not just one-off incident and strong lesson should be sent to these?
There could be more incidents, but if we will take strict action, then the message will go to every hospital.
And your thing is that you want to send a strict message?
No, strict message should be given because the loot cannot be permitted anymore.
So you heard the health minister categorically saying that this loot cannot be permitted anymore.
All right, we've got Vishal with us, in fact, on the phone line. Vishal, we just heard what the minister had to say there, strong words coming out. But if you can very quickly tell us, has there been any kind of a timeline in terms of when the FIR is going to be filed? And secondly, now what happens in terms of the license actually getting revoked? What will it take for that to actually happen?
See, the health department has recommended that an FIR should be registered, and what we can tell you is that a legal opinion is being taken from the legal department, and after the legal opinion is on the record, they will ask the Haryana police to register an FIR against the Fortis Hospital and officials. And also, what they are planning is that a show cause notice has been issued so as to really see whether they had adhered to the conditions of the license and can this license be cancelled. That is also being considered by the Haryana government. Haryana government say that they want to present this case as a case study for these private hospitals who are overcharging money from the people, and saying that they will teach them a stern lesson so that people can get good health facilities at a lower prices from these health hospitals.
All right. Thanks, Vishal, for getting us those details on that instance. But it's not just Fortis alone. Even Max Hospital has been accused of medical negligence. The premature baby that was delivered at Delhi's Max Hospital and then wrongly declared dead passed away earlier on. Remember, the baby was born on November 30th, wrapped in a plastic bag, handed over to the parents, saying that the baby was dead. And it is only when the child's relatives with the baby were going for cremation that they realized that it was actually alive. The baby was then moved to Pitampura's Agarwal Hospital, and the treating doctor there said that despite the hospital's efforts, they were not able to revive the baby, following which it was declared dead. And again here, there has been a probe that has been initiated, and that probe has found lapses on the part of Max Hospital as well, which includes failure to conduct the ECG tracing that actually determines, the very tracing that actually determines if that baby is alive or dead. That itself was not conducted by the hospital. To discuss all of this, I'm being joined by Dr. K.K. Agarwal, President of the Indian Medical Association. Thank you very much, Dr. Agarwal, for joining us today on the show. My first question really to you is, these are two instances, two big private hospitals that have come to the fore of gross negligence completely on their parts. What is your response?
See, it's a time for, this is what IMA is doing. In the next 3 weeks, we are going to talk about and raise the issues of affordable healthcare. The concern is that healthcare has to be affordable. Should we nationalize all private hospitals like a nationalization of banks? Should we come out with some more suggestions? Now, coming back to the report which I have seen of the Fortis. Yes, Lama patient, no way we can refuse an ambulance. Yes, there is a mistake of refusing an ambulance. We need to be concerned about them. But there are certain issues which I want to discuss. One of them is when it comes to drugs. The government policy as on today is they are allowing the same company to sell the same medicine at 3 differential prices. That needs to be curbed. That needs to be checked. One. Number two, the policy of that when you have ancillary service, a hospital's basic job is to provide service. Ancillary service, if they are forcing, I don't know whether the Fortis does it or not. I knew that there are a couple of hospitals who insist that you have to buy the medicines only from my own hospital. That policy needs to be debated. I know in Delhi government, Satinder Jain, our Honorable Health Minister, he came out with a policy that no hospital can insist on buying the medicines from the same store. And today, for example, I talk about the disposable material. There is no policy of the government of India to put an MRP. So therefore, we need to come out with certain policies where Indian Medical Association, MCI, and the ministry should sit together and come out with some guidelines and how to make healthcare affordable. Simultaneously, we also need to involve all the stakeholders and ask them that why the services in intensive care are so costly, and if they are, what is the subsidy? Can government give a subsidy? Why? So therefore, all these factors needs a debate. These two issues of Max and Fortis is forcing all of us to come together. IMA, media, MCI and government and corporate hospitals to sit together to come out with a system and a mechanism.
I agree with you there, but the point is it's not just
society.
Dr. Agarwal, the fact is that we're not just talking about why are these certain aspects more expensive. We're talking about, according to the report, the drug profit margin at 108% and consumables at 1,737%. So it's not just a question of a slightly more expensive treatment or slightly more expensive drugs. This is massive. This is outright cheating.
Therefore, I'm saying the time has come for us to frame a policy. And the policy has to be that in a consumable item where MRP is not decided, there has to be a fixed charge like in NLEM versus non-NLEM. What government has done for stents, what government has done for knee implants, same thing need to be done for all the disposable item, and a profit margin needs to be defined that you cannot charge more than say 100%, 60%, 70%. That policy I'm saying is all of us, the time has come for all of us. Today, there is no MRP on any disposable. When there is no MRP, the market forces decide. Anybody can bid any price. Therefore, the time has come that being a service industry, health being a special subject, the margin of MRP, when you decide an MRP has to be linked to the purchase price. Some policy needs to be done for which we need an input from the industry. We need the inputs from MCI, IMA, media and the health ministry together.
Right. All right. Now, Dr. Agarwal, I want to pick up two specific issues, one from each hospital, which has come to light from the probes that have been conducted. With regards to Fortis Hospital, the consent form, the parents have said that where a form wherein the hospital has forged their signatures and the parents have claimed that one signature is theirs, but the other has been forged. Now, in this particular case, shows an intent to actually cheat the family. And in the other case, in Max Hospital case, the ECG, which is, even a lay person actually knows about, that is conducted to check whether the infant is alive or dead, that itself wasn't conducted. Now, these are things that don't need new rules, new regulations. These are things that are one is outright cheating and the other is common knowledge.
No, if there is a forgery, I don't think so. It has anything to do with the medical profession, or it has to do with the hospital. Forgery is a forgery. It's a punishable. It's a criminal act. So I don't think so there is any debate. If there is a complaint of forgery, police will investigate. And if forgery is found, person will be punished. As far as the second question is concerned about the death, yes, there is a mistake. The mistake is death is of two types. There is a temporary death, which is called clinical death, and a permanent death. Normally, in every death, the first 10 minutes, there is a clinical death. The person is apparently dead, but he can be revived by CPR, called cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Therefore, every death is revivable after death in the first 10 minutes. In presence of hypothermia, in a newborn, it may be more than 10 minutes, and in presence of hypothermia, it can be 4 hours. Therefore, in a newborn who is hypothermic, the person may appear dead. Even ECG may appear dead. Even every factor may appear dead. The person may be revivable for up to 4 hours. So therefore, there has been a mistake. They have diagnosed a clinical death as a permanent death. I don't think so that ECG would have made a difference. ECG would have shown a straight line. Even if the ECG was done and ECG had shown a straight line, even then the child can be revived. Remember, there are two different types of deaths, clinical death and permanent death. So there was an error of judgment. A person definitely misdiagnosed a clinical death as a permanent death.
Absolutely. In fact, then because of that, there was precious time was lost, which perhaps could have used to actually treat that baby, that infant. That precious time was lost there in when the baby was handed over, taken to the crematorium, and then again rushed back to another hospital. I'm joined on the phone line by Zoya Brar, calling us from Gurugram. In fact, founder and CEO of Core Diagnostics. Thanks very much for calling in. Tell us, what would you like to say?
Sure. So I will speak both as a citizen as well as somebody who's, I would say, representative of the healthcare industry in some ways.
Right.
I think as a citizen, I have been admitted to Fortis Hospital, Vasant Kunj for dengue, maybe 2 years back. And I have had a lot of patients that get treated at Fortis and Max. And I think taking such an extreme reaction which says shut them down or cancel their license, I think is very callous. We already have very limited facilities in the country. And, saying that we are going to revoke licenses without even doing a proper investigation and really saying what really happened, I think is totally unjustified. I heard what our health minister said about it being murder. I think, again, a judiciary can make that claim after doing due investigation. But making a remark like that is extremely sensationalizing the news and not being, sensitive to. I'm sure the doctors that were involved have been very moved by the fact that, a small child died on their watch. And I think making such a callous remark just questions all the ethics that all of us stand for in the healthcare industry. So both as a citizen and as a person in healthcare, I am extremely disgusted by this reaction that the government is taking.
Well, Ms. Brar, the fact is, thank you for sharing your thoughts, but the fact is that the government has found several counts of absolute negligence and absolute apathy on the part of the hospital. It is not an overreaction. It is clearly so many issues that have been come to light. It's not just one or two issues, but there are several issues that have come to light, and that is the reason that they have taken this, and they are going ahead and going to file an FIR as well. So thank you for calling us. But on that note, let's slip into a quick break. We'll continue this on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching The Big Story, and we're discussing the two hospitals, Fortis Hospital and Max Hospitals, which are under fire for negligence and for not putting the patient first. With me is Dr. K.K. Agarwal, President of the Indian Medical Association. Dr. Agarwal, coming back to you, from a more broader perspective now, what, in your opinion, needs to be done? Do you think government regulation is something that is now imperative as far as private hospitals are concerned?
See, what I personally feel is, and which I am planning in the next 3 weeks, that IMA, MCI, industry, senior representatives of the consumer industry, senior representatives of the media and the government. I think it's a time for introspection, time to come out with guidelines for where are the loopholes, where are the things which can improve, where are the policies, which policies needs to be done. I think serious, urgent, on priority debate needs to be done. Say, for example, Clinical Establishment Act, everybody is blaming IMA, that IMA is not allowing Clinical Establishment Act. It is not correct. Let's all sit together and find out how to do that. Single window accountability. Today, doctors' accountability is in a different platform. Hospital accountability is in a different platform. Let's come out with a common accountability. Let's come out with a common ethics. Today, ethics of a business and ethics of a medical profession are different. Before public faith is totally lost, and before private hospitals start refusing admitting serious patients, I think it's a matter of concern. All of us need to sit together. How to where are the costing of the patient which are very high? Say, for example, drugs. What policies need to be changed in investigations? How to rationalize the investigations, how to rationalize the drugs. I think the time has come to come out with the guidelines, and I'm sure that under Indian Medical Association initiative, we will be able to do a series of daily meetings to come out within a time-bound manner, how to make healthcare affordable in the country.
All right, we've got Panduranga calling us from Mumbai on the phone line. Thanks for calling us. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Yeah, my name is Pandurang Narayan Swamy. I was hearing Dr. Agarwal talk about clinical death and permanent death. I think this is deliberately trying to confuse the layman. I would like to ask Dr. Agarwal, how many death certificates mention either clinical death, the term clinical death, or permanent death. And whether any death certificate issued by any authority mentions permanent death or clinical death. I think this is absolutely unnecessary comment, because when you say a death certificate, it assumes permanent death. So let's not try to confuse the issue. The doctors who have issued this are absolutely guilty and need to be punished. Dr. Agarwal can either clarify on what I'm asking him.
Right.
Or
I'll do that. Thank you for calling us, Mr. Anand. I will do that. Dr. Agarwal, would you like to respond to what his question is?
Thank you for raising. Thank you for raising this issue. It's a very important issue. What I am trying to say is that when a person dies in public, never declare him dead. Wait within 10 minutes. By doing CPR, you can revive him. My message is that no patient is dead unless CPR is done. In this case, what happened was the child died, but he was still alive, which can happen for the next 4 hours. Clinical death means the person is revivable, but there are no signs of death. I am not saying mistake hasn't happened. I am not saying that doctors are not at fault. I am saying the doctor misdiagnosed a clinical death as death in presence of low temperature. In presence of low temperature up to 4 hours. Say if a person is found dead in a hilly area and submerged in ice, even if he is found dead after 4 hours, he can be revived. I am only trying to say is never declared a patient dead as a permanent dead when he is not permanent dead.
All right. We've also got Apurva Parekh on the phone line calling us from Mumbai. Hi, Apurva. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Yeah, madam, I've been watching your story. It is sheer negligence on the part of the hospital authorities to declare one baby dead while the other is alive. Reading the reports in the paper, I find that there was a Max Hospital is convicted of gross negligence on the part. And let me tell you, this Fortis not following protocol and that, but the malpractice of fleecing the patients who treat the doctors as God is rampant in all the metropolitan cities. And I do not know when the government will...
Right. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Parekh, for calling us and sharing your view. On that note, time to wrap up this show. Thank you very much, Dr. Agarwal, for joining us and outlining what the plan is going forward and how IMA is going to take initiative and deal with this entire situation and what steps are going to be taken. But we are going to be continuously tracking both these cases, and we'll see what happens as far as both Max Hospital and Fortis Hospital happens, what happens with that FIR. All those developments we'll track for you right here on Mirror Now. Thanks so much for watching.